Welcome back. I'm happy for you all to be returning to my channel. I'm going to be doing the adventures of Jason and the Argonauts. If you enjoy this story, please hit that like button. Let's get on to our story. The myth says that in the land of Iolcus, the modern city of Volos, there lived Peleus and his half-brother Aeson, born of the same mother Tyro, but of different fathers, Peleus of god Poseidon and Aeson of Cretheus, who was the king of Iolcus. After the death of Cretheus, Peleus usurped the throne from Aeson, the rightful heir, and had him imprisoned. He planned to murder all of the relatives of Aeson and even banish his twin brother Neleus. In despair over Aeson's situation, his wife Alcimede died, but before she had already secretly given birth to the son of Aeson, named Jason. Fearing Peleus would also kill the boy, Jason was sent away to Mount Pelion to live with the centaur Chiron, a strange creature half-man half-horse. Centaur Chiron became his tutor and Jason grew up to be a fine young man. Meanwhile, in Iolcus, Peleus, still fearing he would lose his kingdom, approached the oracle at Delphi and was told to beware of a man with one sandal. Unknown to Peleus, this was going to be goddess Hera's revenge. Many years ago, he had angered Hera by committing the despicable act of killing his stepmother Cytero at the goddess's altar and by prohibiting the people from worshipping the goddess. Hera had vowed to avenge herself for such ignominy and she chose to do this through Jason. When he became 20 years old, Jason set out to reclaim the throne and kingdom of Iolcus from his uncle. While he was walking to Iolcus, across the river Anoros, Jason came across an old woman trying to cross over to the other side. Being a good-natured young man, Jason helped the woman across, but the water drew away one of his sandals. The old woman thanked him and Jason continued on his journey unaware that he had helped Hera, queen of the gods, who had disguised herself into an old woman as part of her plan to punish Peleus, this arrogant mortal. Hera knew of his quest, but little did Jason know of the gods' participation in it. At Iolcus, a celebration was being held to honor the sea god Poseidon, Peleus' father. Jason's arrival and his claim to the throne shocked Peleus, who started seeing the old prophecy come true. Here was the man with one sandal. To get rid of this dangerous stranger, Peleus agreed to abdicate the throne only if Jason brought him the golden fleece from the faraway land of Colchis, thought to be an impossible task. He was sure that Jason would never return and that he would remain king of Iolcus forever. Jason understood that the journey to Colchis would be long and arduous. He knew that he would need a strong and swift vessel to make such a long trip. Only one man in the land could build him such a craft, Argos, who was famous for his skill as a shipwright. Argos readily complied with his request, and with the help of goddess Athena, they built the largest and sturdiest ship the ancient Greeks had ever seen, a ship that could withstand the ravages of the open sea. Built of oak and pine and over 22 meters in length, the ship had 50 oars and a low draft that allowed her to approach shallow waters without floundering. The construction was such that the mast, the rudder, the anchor, and the oars could be removed and the ship then hauled ashore on cylindrical logs. This was significant since it would prevent the ship from being destroyed or stolen. As a gift from Zeus, Jason received the Dodona, a piece of speaking timber from God's enchanted forest which was affixed to the prow. The Dodona had important roles to play, as an oracle offering the seafarers guidance on the best course of action and as a compass. The Dodona was oriented north and the ship's rudder was south, to help in navigation. The imaginary line that extended from the Dodona to the rudder had coordinates aligned with the stars above, helping Jason plot the ship's course with precision. The ship was named Argo after its builder and the crew was the Argonauts. When the ship was ready, Jason asked the strongest Greek men to accompany him on his journey and the prospect of a great adventure brought many to sail with him. Numbering 50, the list of heroes was astounding. There were the most famous and brave men of all over Greece, all mighty fighters, and some of them had also other skills. Among the Argonauts, we discern Hercules, who was renowned for his strength and agility. Castor and Polydeuces, brothers, boxers, and horse tamers. Orpheus, skilled in playing excellent music with his lyre. Argos, the shipwright, and lots of other legendary men. The heroes cast off and set sail for the inevitable, their death or glory. The Argonauts started their trip with feelings of joy and enthusiasm. They were only seeking some excitement and wanted to experience new ways to see the world around them. They thought it was just a usual journey and didn't know that this journey would change the life of most of them. They had no idea about the adventures and horrible things to come, nor did they know that some would never return. For a long time, the island of Lemnos had been inhabited only by women, and it was there that the Argo first weighed anchor. These women had provoked the wrath of goddess Aphrodite for not worshipping her, and as a sign of vengeance, she had cursed them with horrible body odor. Unable to bear the awful stench, their husbands had deserted them to this isolated island. Humiliated and furious about their deplorable condition, the women had murdered every male on the island. There they lived with their queen Hypsipyle until the day Jason and his Argonauts arrived. The Argonauts were welcomed with open arms and made babies with these women. Jason himself fathered twin sons born of Queen Hypsipyle. However, the fearless and mighty warrior Hercules was one of the men guarding the ship, repelling the monsters until Jason and the other Argonauts returned. Together, they killed the monsters and took to the sea again, but in the dark of the night, a twist of fate brought them back to the land of the Doliones. King Cyzicus, unable to recognize his friends, the Argonauts, thought them to be marauders and attacked them with his men. In the confusion that ensued, King Cyzicus was killed. In the dawn, both sides realized their mistake and with heavy hearts held a grand funeral for the king. The situation aboard the Argo soon became mutinous, but Glaucus, a minor sea god, appeared and calmed them all. He told the Argonauts that it was the will of the gods that Hercules stays there and goes on to complete other tasks. The Argo put out to sea again, leaving behind Polyphemus to assist the mighty Hercules in his mission. A few days later, the Argonauts approached the land of King Amycus, ruler of the tribe Bebryces. He had a strange quirk to challenge every stranger he met to a fistfight. Catching sight of the Argonauts, he challenged them, and Polydeuces, the skilled boxer, took it up and after a difficult fight, managed to kill Amycus. All hell broke loose as the Bebryces attacked the Argonauts to avenge their king, but that was not to be. They were comprehensively driven back, and Jason and his friends once again sailed for their destination. The Argonauts were beyond a strange sight after passing the Bosphorus and reaching Thrace. An old blind man who had sat down to his meal was attacked by two winged creatures that appeared from nowhere and started tormenting him and desecrating his food. Unable to bear this vagary of fate, Jason and his friends ran to help the man and chased away the creatures. To thank Jason, the old man told him that his name was Phines and that he had once been a seer. However, he had divulged to many of Zeus' secrets and God had cursed him, taking his vision. To further torment him, Zeus had sent the Harpies, the two winged creatures that the Argonauts had earlier seen, to despoil his food every time he tried to eat. Hearing of Jason's quest, Phines agreed to tell the Argonauts what lay ahead, but on one condition. Jason and his friends should help him to get rid of the Harpies. Seeing that Jason was about to approach Colchis, goddess Hera realized he would need help. For this, she chose Medea, the daughter of King Aedes, a skilled sorceress and high priestess of the temple of Hecate, the goddess of magic and witchcraft. Hera knew that Jason would need Medea to weave her magic not only here, but in Iolcus as well. She told Aphrodite to send her son Eros to make Jason and Medea fall in love. It was a simple task for Eros to ensure that the first person Jason would meet in Colchis would be Medea. Landing safely on the banks of the river Phasis, the Argonauts went ashore and decided to make their way to the city of Aia, to the court of King Aedes of Colchis. Strangely, on the way, they noticed bodies wrapped in hides hanging from the trees. There was much gaiety in the palace of King Aedes for the arrival of the strangers, but the king became furious when Jason announced he had come to Colchis only to take the golden fleece. Yeats wanted to kill Jason right that moment, but he knew that such a dastardly act would only make matters worse. He consented, only if Jason beat the fire-breathing bronze-hoofed bulls guarding the golden fleece and make them plow a field in which he was to sow the dragon's teeth. These seeds would turn into warriors that he would have to defeat afterward. Jason agreed, though not too readily, for he knew that only Hercules could overcome such obstacles and rude that they had left him behind. Medea prepared an ointment for Jason which would make him impervious to fire, so he could face the bulls. She also told him how to defeat the warriors of the earth. Armed with sorcery and courage, Jason set out to accomplish his tasks. Medea's ointment allowed Jason to approach the bulls without being burned alive. He defeated them and sowed the fields with dragon's teeth. As from the earth rose great warriors. Following Medea's advice, Jason threw a stone amongst the warriors, distracting them. Not knowing who had thrown the stone, the earth-born warriors attacked each other, destroying themselves. King Yeats was enraged at Jason's success and realized he must have had help from someone on the inside. He suspected various family members but couldn't pinpoint anyone. Instead, he planned to kill the Argonauts. Suspecting her father would do something evil, Medea informed Jason and agreed to help him steal the golden fleece, only if he took her away with him. Jason consented to take her away from her father and also to marry her. The golden fleece was nailed to a tree in a small garden and guarded by the sleepless dragon. Orpheus, the great music player who was one of the Argonauts, and Medea, in a concerted effort of music and sorcery, put the beast to sleep while Jason quietly took the golden fleece. They rushed back to the Argo and immediately set sail, for they knew King Yeats would chase them. Hera had finally avenged herself through Jason. The quest for the golden fleece had been a trick to bring Medea to Iolcus to kill Peleus. Hera no longer had use of Jason, who went into exile with Medea in Corinth, where he led a very uneventful life. But even the most righteous of men are swayed. Jason wanted to marry the princess of Corinth even though he already had Medea. Inconsolable of Jason's deceit, Medea killed the princess, even did something horrible. She killed her own 3 young children, the children she had with Jason, to punish her husband. After that, she escaped to Athens. This story was tragic as are most tales in mythology. Hope you all enjoyed my story. If there is anything you want me to bring to you, please a comment below. Love you all.